All right, one of the problems I'm seeing in some of your first assignments is that you tend to try and write all of your code in one cell, or you try and write your function all together at one shot. So if you try and do this, if I try and write a function like this for strain that has a bunch of if-else statements in it, that's fine if you've been writing for a while, but especially when you're first starting, this becomes very difficult to debug if you run into a problem. So I can run something like this, and I'm getting this problem here, this syntax error. This EOL is end of line while scanning string literal. Okay, so you can try and look this up online and see exactly what this means, but it's telling you with this arrow there's some problem over here. And we could try and maybe we can see it right away. We could fix it, and then we run it again, we're going to get another error. I have about 5 or 6 errors throughout this. So this becomes very difficult to debug. And you really shouldn't ever have a function this big with that many errors in it unless you're trying to write it all in one shot. So never do this. What you want to do is write this out piecewise, get it all working, and then start putting it together. So for example, maybe I want to have a function here that I'm going to define as strain here. I'm talking about, it looks like thermal expansion and change in temperature. And the simplest thing I might want to do is to just take that function and have it return the product of the thermal expansion times the change in temperature. So I do something real simple like that, and then I can go ahead and run my function and see that it gives me an output. And I could maybe calculate it by hand, make sure that's correct, but this looks fine. And so I have the main piece. So I know how to write a function. I can put my variables in correctly, and it returns a value. All right, so then I might want to try to start adding in whatever my if statements are going to be. So here's one here. Let's go ahead and we can put this one in. So we're just going to modify one thing at a time. So if delta T is greater than 1,000, then I'm going to go ahead and print, are you sure you did not melt your sample? Okay. And it was going to return this no matter what because it's not under the if. So this if statement, it just applies to whether it prints this. Otherwise, I'm going to return this value. So I run that, I'm getting my error. Okay. So now the question is, what's wrong? Is it my form here? Is there something wrong here? Well, this is telling you that it's sensing something wrong with this print statement. Okay, so maybe I go ahead and pull the print statement out itself, just run that alone, getting the same error. Okay, so now I know it's this print statement, and I can look and I say, oh, okay, I've got 2 quotes over here and I've got 1 over there, so I just need to delete one of those. Let's see if that works. So I ran it again, and it's still giving me this error. So now I get really frustrated, but then I realize, and this happens all the time, when I had the 2 in there, when I tried to delete this left one with the backspace, it actually got rid of both of them. So I got to be careful. So what I can do is I can move my cursor out over here onto the right one and just get rid of that one. All right. And again, you can use single or you can use double quotes. But let's try that again. And I run this. Okay. So it says, are you sure you didn't melt your material? And then I might check this and say, okay, let's make sure I'm under 1,000. I can run that one. Okay, so that works, right? It's returning my value, and it's only doing this print statement if this delta T is greater than 1,000. So that worked. Okay, so I can keep going with this, right? I can add in another statement. I've got that one going. So now I go ahead and try and add in another statement. Now, when I pasted it in, it didn't paste where it should, right? This pasted here, which means that I'm going to do this if statement, and then if it's greater than 1,000, I'll print this. And while that's true, I'm also going to check and see if alpha is less than 0. And then I would actually get an error because then this print needs to be here. So that's under that if statement. Okay. Now, I don't want that. I just want this to be a separate check. So be careful with these indents. They're very important. All right, so this should work, right? If I'm greater than 1,000, I'll print that. A whole different if statement says if alpha is less than 0, print. I don't think your value of alpha is correct, right? It needs to be a positive number. So let's go ahead and try it. All right. So I'm already getting a problem in here. It says name O. See that? Is not defined. That's an O. That's not a 0, right? Zeros look like this. So I mistyped there. It's another error. Let's go ahead and fix that to 0. There we go. All right, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to keep walking through. Now, if I wanted to do a series of checks, like if it's less than 0, print this. If it's not less than 0, then the next check is, well, is it less than 1.6? So let's go ahead and put that one in. Make sure I take care of my statements. Looks like this has got a little space here. That doesn't look good. Make sure I've got a colon. That's good. All right, so it does this if, and then if that doesn't work, then it goes to this. So it's if, else if. This is the next check. If it was less than 0, it would stop here. It wouldn't complete this one at all. So let's see what happens with this one. And I get another problem. It says invalid syntax in my return function. So what's going on with that? So let's see if we can take a look at this function. Now, a problem here is going to be that I can't just run this like that because these are not numbers. But what if, just to test it, what if this was 1 and this was 2? Invalid syntax. So what's going on? All right, let's see. 1 space 2. Yeah, it doesn't like this. All right, well, remember, if I'm meant to multiply things, I've got to tell it that I'm multiplying. So I want 1 times 2. All right, so I'm missing this multiplication sign. So that's what's going on here. So let's try that again. We'll run this one here. And I'm getting this question. Is this for invar or diamond? See, 1.5 is actually very small, and it's invar and diamond are about the only ones that have that kind of a small thermal expansion. So that's working. I'm printing, and if this is true, I return that value. All right, so let's keep going. And let's see. And then we've got this else if, and then we've got this else. So I'm just going to grab this one just to end it. You can keep checking the others if you like. But I have this one, and I really don't want this one anymore, because this returns my alpha no matter what. Right? I'm only going to return it under different conditions. So now this says check if it's less than 0, check if it's less than 1.6, and if neither of these are true, then no matter what, print your strain is, and then I'm going to return alpha times delta t. And I get another error. Oh, I've seen this before, right? This string literal. There's some problem with my string. Yeah, so this time I'm missing a parenthesis rather than, I'm sorry, a quote mark rather than single quote rather than having too many. Now I hit the 1, it puts 2 in automatically. I have too many. Got to go over to the right and delete that. And then hopefully now things should be good. let's see if we can make this a bigger number so that I don't have this invar diamond one. Let's see. Okay, so now it's still giving me, is this for invar or diamond? So let's take a look and see why that might be doing that. Oh, I see it right here. If this is less than 1.6, okay, that's not what we want, right? We want less than 1.6 times 10 to the minus 6. So now 2 ways to input this. I could do it like this, okay, or I can do it in a little simpler way and just do e minus 6. So this e just means exponent, doesn't mean e is in 2.7. It's the exponent. So this is a shorthand way of writing floating point numbers. So go ahead and just show you that that's still working. All right. And then again, if I was at a little low value, let's say maybe 0.5, there we go. So it seems to be working well now. All right, so that's how I would build it up, one step at a time, so that you can fight one syntax error at a time. All right, good luck.